Alfonso, thank you so much for joining me today on your Monday.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
It's wonderful to speak to you and everybody about your recovery. Could you just tell everyone a little bit about you, who you are, where you are?
I'm Alfonso and I'm from Mexico City. I am an engineer. I'm not married, but I have a long time relationship with my girlfriend, almost 17 years. And I work as a consultant, and I'm soon to be a father.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Alfonso, a little bit too about, what were you dealing with before we met in mind and body, before we began working together? What had happened?
Well, the pandemic hit 2020, and I got my first panic attack. Before that moment, really mental health wasn't in my awareness. It was like I heard of depression, heard of anxiety, but not in the radar. And then during the pandemic, I had a lot of anxiety, panic attacks, and then June 2021 is like when everything like really crashed. I was dealing with a lot of pain in my body, in my bones, in my soft tissue, headaches. I was sleeping very bad. I was very tired, like not being able to do anything other than walk one block and having to rest a lot and practically being in my house all the day and researching for solutions for what I had, being doctors and not getting answers.
Scary when that happens. How did you respond when this all suddenly hit?
I was surviving. I was panicked. I was just like really just trying to survive and really alert and trying to look for answers and really scared. Pain, a lot of pain.
It's really, really scary when it's not been on your radar either, and you think you're okay, and then suddenly it's not just one thing; it feels like everything.
Yes,
it's really terrifying.
Yes, it was very, very terrifying and very scary, and also very hard for the people around me to deal with it because I was like a scared animal. I didn't trust anybody, the doctor, my family, my mom. Everyone was very worried and trying to help from a good place, but with the wrong tools, with not having the tools or the knowledge or the understanding. It was just a mess.
It does, we have this conventional framework. So family is like, don't worry so much, or take some medication, or, you're making this happen. And when you're so panicked and feeling so unwell, it kind of alienates you from people close to you as well.
Yes, because the alert signal is increased because you just want to be understood or be heard or just be held, and they are like giving you those type of answers that you just said, like, hey, you just stressed, you're too stressed, or just calm down, stuff like that.
Yeah, makes it worse for sure. But yeah, like you said, it's from a good place. We're just not taught anything about what can happen in the brain and what that will cause in the body. What did doctors say to you, Alfonso, when you were going to the doctor?
It was very unpleasant because I passed like many diagnostics. Never had like a test or anything that confirmed anything.
Yes.
That was very frustrating. So I first got in the train of like mold, like I have and I need to have it because you need to grab onto something, like this makes sense. This is what I must have, and these are the steps to get out of this mess.
Yes.
But there was no confirmatory test, even though I believed I had. there was no tests. So I got into medical functional medicine and taking supplements and diet. And I passed through like conventional medicine, like all the blood tests and everything came up right. Too stressed. That's what the conventional medical system. You just need to go to a psychiatrist. And I had gone through that route. I was with a psychiatrist like 1 year during the pandemic when I had my first panic attacks, as I mentioned. I got into medicine and I took me to a good place. Like, but then it was when I stopped doing the meds, like 6 or 10 months after that, that started to kick in again.
Yeah.
And because I didn't go to the emotional part, the roots, cause, and the boundaries or anything that we've done. So it kicked in again and like with revenge. So I had gone through that route, conventional medicine, functional medicine, and they didn't have answers really. Like, or just like a bacteria, or you have these, but I really never believed in like this medical, like the pathogens, and I never believed in that medicine. Like there's an enemy inside your body, and you have to kill it, and it's producing all of these symptoms. And because there was like times like flows, like they slept well, and I was like, well, the bacteria or the mold went to sleep. That no, that's not. No. So I went to another route, and that was when
I'm glad. It's really a sign, even though you were in so much difficulty, there was something in you that said, I don't think I need to be at war with literally everything inside me and outside of me, because it builds up more of the same. The more scared you are of what's inside you and the more at war we are, the more on alert our system is, and we just get stuck. So I'm glad you noticed that. I also just want to pick up on what you said about medication, that for a lot of people I work with, I see the same pattern. It will put a lid on for a while, but once they come off, they get rebound. Often very strong rebound after a while, because yes, they have not addressed what was underneath in the first place.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. So what led you to this kind of mind-body way of working? Did you do DNRS before we started working together?
I started during the pandemic. I was Qigong like every day, and it really calmed down. And I was doing meditation, and so I liked to like work on myself from even before I started getting any symptoms. I was doing meditation and exercise. So I've always tried to believe like in the mind and the discovery and the self-knowledge and reading books. So I probably wanted to look for answers before everything.
Yes.
And I really like that path. That's something like was natural for me to explore. So when I started doing some therapies, I had a first Spanish therapist, and it was nice. He had a trauma release technique where you shake the body.
Yeah, TRE.
And it was nice. So I started like picking up some stuff. I bought DNRS, but I did it like 1 week. It was like, no, this is not for me. No, this was like too mental. Like I don't know. There was no deepness. Is the word.
Yeah, it was very, I understand.
Superficial. Very mental, intellectual.
I'm glad you felt that. A lot of people do, that it's just not connecting them with what is actually here. How did you find me, Alfonso? I don't even know.
I remember I searched limbic system, I don't know, this regulation or something like that in Google. And I found your blog, and I read of your entries, and I really liked what you said, and I was looking for answers, so I wrote to you, and so there, I started like going into forums and stuff, and the limbic system, and I went, what is that? I don't know. I was in the route of functional medicine, and like, limbic system is the solution, and I was like, well, I'm gonna Google that, and then I came up with your webpage.
Wonderful. I love this. I didn't even know. That's great. So our approach, is very different to DNRS, to just rewiring the limbic system. It's much more focused around your relationship with yourself and your body and getting away from achievement-based or getting rid of symptoms. How was that for you to be less results-focused and more focused on stabilization and nourishment and growth? What was that like?
I think that's the practice. Like that's the real work, because I was an achiever person. I was like I can do anything, and I was really doing well in my goals, but at a cost, So this is still a practice. I still working on outcome independence,
Yes.
not focusing so much on outcome. When to try to achieve a goal or set healthy expectations about everything, and just trying to sometimes flow with things. So it's like that was like the hardest part, or one of the hardest parts for me, to release that attachment, or a part of me that wants to perform.
I do. It's such an interesting one for us, right? Because it puts so much pressure on our system and that creates more symptoms. But it's so familiar. And of course, we want our symptoms to go down. So it's such an interesting thing to hold, to know that we have to let go a little for our system to feel safer, but that feeling a bit unsafe because it's so unfamiliar.
Yes. It's like there's like even you're in the right path, but your body's anxious because it's an unknown place.
Exactly.
But it's hard to at first differentiate between these types of anxiety, like from uncomfortable, good direction anxiety, or just like something is pushing you, your nervous edge, or like that's like the calibration of that is really the practice.
Yes, it is. I'm glad you said that. That discernment of what is new, but is actually healthy and opening us up, but it's unfamiliar, versus what is a trigger, what is something we need to address and take care of. And you and I have danced with that quite a lot to grow that discernment, because at first the alarm in the system just feels like alarm. Address everything. Everything is dangerous.
Yes.
What has helped you work with that? What has helped you know what is healthier for you to take on into your life? And what are things that are, alarms that are due to you pushing or pressuring, or things you need to address? How have you learned that difference?
I think that awareness is a big part of it, like because you're gonna have setbacks and have some ups and downs, and if you're not aware of what you're doing, or what you're feeling, or what events are happening, or the circumstance, then you don't learn from these events.
Yes.
I say awareness is one part of it. Soothing, like the nervous system, learning to soothe what works for us, for me, to soothe our nervous system in the ways that can calm this alert.
Yes.
And re-engage with life, and then it fades away or just changes. And re-engaging with life as well is a big part of it. I spend a lot of time like trying to discern everything and understand everything, and trying to have an explanation, but that's another layer of anxiety.
Yes, it is.
Just re-engaging with life, even with being uncomfortable, or not in the best mood or in the best headspace. It is necessary for the brain to start like working healthier.
For sure. Thank you. It's such an important thing that you've just said, that I helped you stabilize at first, and yes, it was learning to soothe and grow awareness and less alarm, but very quickly I was inviting you to re-engage in life in little ways. Because yes, if you're constantly focused on what's wrong, you're constantly focused on that, your brain doesn't get to pick up and your nervous system doesn't get to feel and sense that you're safer than it believes you are. And that re-engagement, I've watched you feel uncomfortable. And then as you did stretch out a little into something that actually helped your mind, your body, your brain feel healthier, you would get back more capacity and you would get back more confidence.
Yes, that's right. That the confidence is like something I had to build up because
Yes.
my self-confidence in my body, in my mind, in myself was on the floor. And this going out and stretching your comfort zone, even if you're pain, even if you're uncomfortable, but without pushing, that's like another detail.
Another edge. Mm-hmm.
You cannot like go on full on like football player, like smashing everything. You need to be careful with your nervous system and like a pace where your mind, your body, and yourself are somehow comfortable. There's no perfect comfortable, but there's a negotiation, I would say.
Thank you. I love that negotiation. And it's actually between here and here, the negotiation. It's like, can I have this brain, my higher brain, and my feeling, fight, flight, emotional brain, can they be online together, working together? It doesn't necessarily mean comfortable. It can be a little discomforting, but it's not re-traumatizing. You are not pushing past using this to where your fight flight center really engages and then you crash. It's a negotiation to stretch a little, not stress. And yeah, it's an art, not a science. We've had some hiccups and you need them to know that it's not a disaster, that you recover from them.
Yes, I think these hiccups or these setbacks are also to be aware and to build up confidence and know that I've been having setbacks like many times and nothing happens. I'm in the right direction. The trend is still positive and there's like dents in this trend, but you come up back again. And there's where I say, okay, this is not working, and you get scared and everything, like the alert is really on, and the day after you're right, you're perfect, and okay, this is part of it.
Thank you. It's a really important part of it. And I've watched you get so much more resilience back from how you respond. We're so hyper vigilant and alarmed that any of these changes, if we contract a bit, feels very, very frightening because it comes with sensations and fears. And the more I've watched you stretch, and when this does happen, sometimes you don't freak out or turn it into the scariest story in the whole world. And naturally, this will happen again. And I've watched this start to come in more and more, where you can do a little and then you come in and it's not a disaster. How has that felt to get a little rhythm and flow back in daily life?
It felt really, really nice. Like there's some feeling of certainty that eventually gonna be okay. So even though it's not perfect, we are in a very good place where I can sleep, I can engage with my normal life, I can work out, and I started to feel even new things that I never felt before in my life. So
like what, Alfonso?
Very pleasant things, like just like being tranquil is the word, like maybe calm, really calm, like okay, this is peaceful place to live, and just feelings of being grateful, and feeling like learning to love yourself and love others, and being aware of that, how to do, and more present. It's the word, maybe, or more present.
It is, and that's taken time and practice, but a huge gift that you don't expect often from this process, that as we do work in this way and reconnect you, yeah, we get a sense of peace because you're more at home in yourself, you're more aware. It's a very beautiful thing. How has your relationship with yourself changed through your recovery?
Well, I think I wasn't really aware of my relationship with myself.
Yes.
I didn't have I had thoughts, I had feelings, I was living kind of not unconscious, but very disconnected from
Mhm.
myself. And with this work, I have become more in touch with my needs,
Yes.
with my personality, myself, my essence,
Mhm.
I have a better inner speech with myself.
Yes.
Kinder. Well, I try to. There's still like over some voices that I hear, and I try to be kinder every day with myself. And yes, I think I'm more in touch. I wasn't in touch with myself.
Kind of an autopilot, right? You go through school and expectations and study and into work, and you're still a beautiful person, but we're on autopilot a lot of the time, and we just don't know because it's our normal.
Yes,
Yeah.
autopilot is a word. Like not. There's no awareness. There was no awareness with me. I was just like living and under the circumstances of the day and having
Yes.
some goals. But yeah, that's what I think our models in health were are. They are. They still are. You know, their parents.
For sure. It's like no one's fault, but it's what we've grown up in, and it's our generation that are having things happen in relationships with health in all different ways that are inviting us to have a look at these things.
Yeah.
I'm glad for you. What do you think the biggest lessons have been, in terms of what helps your nervous system and your body and you feel safe and held in the world? What have been the biggest things that you've learned with this, like boundaries, needs, your voice, anything else, Alfonso?
Understanding my feelings
Mhm.
was for me like, okay, this is pain, this is anger, this is sadness,
Yes.
and boundaries was is still a huge thing for me, and I'm
Mhm.
learning a lot of boundaries, and I feel like I have earned my space in my community, in my family, in my
Yes.
relationship with myself that I didn't have before. I
Mhm.
starting to speak up, have my own voice, my own place in the in this life with
Yes.
and just like being more respectful of my needs and myself and putting
Mhm.
myself first was also a big thing for me, and also just like understanding my nervous system. Yes, this
Yes.
is what is where am I standing right now? Am I activated, or I'm
Mhm.
starting to relax? What part in the curve am I, or
Yeah.
I'm stuck, or I'm stuck over here, you know? What do I need to do to get out of this
Mhm.
nervous system state? I need to walk, I need to watch some TV, or go talk to a friend, or
Mhm.
eat, or do some breathings, or talk to someone about something that's worrying me, or
Yeah.
this is understanding is very valuable.
It's kind of like if you haven't had somebody in your early life model and tend to us in that way for us, we have a stress response and then we learn how to soothe it, how to meet it, or what to do with it. If we didn't get that, it's these times that we get to start to put it together like, oh, I feel angry, or resentful or overwhelmed. Oh, there's a need for a boundary. Huh,
Yes.
I feel like alone with a big feeling. Oh, I need to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And yeah, learning this, it's life changing, that ability to pause and notice how we are, again, without judgment, which is a practice, and then get curious about what we actually need.
Yes.
I've watched
Yes.
you do that so beautifully, Alfonso.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a practice, and
Mhm.
I cannot say it is hard, but it is not easy as well. But it's worth it. I would say it's worth it. It's
Indeed.
even if it was hard, the results and what you get to start feeling, it is worth it.
It is. I think I want to say here too, when we first met, your sense of humor was offline because you were so stressed and so anxious about everything. As we've brought more lightness in and like kindness and a little humor, has that made it easier to connect to you and feel okay with the ebbs and flows of things?
Yes, of course. Like it's a big part also to how you see life. We talked about this the other day. Like
Yeah.
what, like there's that phrase, perception is reality.
Indeed.
And how you perceive things and or the expectations you have around things is can change. Right now, my girlfriend is pregnant, and you can hear like my mom says like, "Hey, it was fine the pregnancy. I just vomited every day during the morning, but the rest of the day I was perfect." And then another person can say, "I was dreadful because I was vomiting every day and I suffered." And
Indeed.
what's the difference in how you see life and how you
Mhm.
perceive what's your baggage, you know?
Yes.
Just this lightness and this playfulness and this being funny about it. It brings like the others down, and this is part of healing, like
It
not
is.
taking it
It is,
seriously.
my love. It's really great to see that come back online because, yes, it's our glasses and realizing we have a choice, which we don't realize when we're so alarmed, and that's no one's fault at all. But growing that awareness of influence, of, yeah, somebody can have exactly the same thing going on, but their perception can bring down suffering, bring down the alarm, and bring up acceptance. It's like a well, shit, this is what we have to work with. That's okay.
Yes, yes, that's right. That's a superhuman power. Having choices. This
It
is
is.
our one as mammals and species to choose. I think it's
For
one of our.
sure. It's very empowering. I've watched you make some really good choices for yourself over the course of your recovery outside of our work, because I encouraged you as you did start to get in touch with your needs and your needs as a man, too, of feeling at home in your body, building back confidence, because chronic illness really does take down our confidence. What outside of our work have you found that has really helped you?
You last year, it's been almost more than a year. I, through your recommendations, joined men's group here in Mexico called Voices of Brotherhood, and it's also been life changing to see other men pass through even harder situations or harder upbringings, harder, rougher things, and come through and going to workshops for some days and seeing other men heal and other tools also like more physical or even rougher or even maybe aggressiveness is also a
Mhm.
part of being aggressive in some time to defend a boundary or defend
Yes.
your plans or even with a thought, with yourself, like there are thoughts that still keep popping up and there's times where you can need some firmness with yourself as well.
Yeah, it's loving that in somatic experiencing, we call it healthy aggression, that it helps us hold vitality, it helps us hold boundaries outside, and yes, also inside. Like, don't be bullied by things inside you. And I've watched that through that men's work. I've seen you grow that sense of like holding yourself and also so much less isolation. The pandemic was isolating. Chronic illness is so isolating. And watching you with brotherhood, and I think it really alleviates the shame we can feel when we get in a vulnerable place. And for men, there's not enough of that. It's not
Yes.
encouraged yet. And I'm so glad you've had that experience of healthy brotherhood.
Yes. Yes, it's like a very early stage as well, at least here, like the men's work. And well, this is like the biggest one here. And when I entered the group, we were 30 men, and now we're almost 200. So I'm glad for that. And we've had workshops 50 people. The last workshop, I was part of the service team,
Mm-hmm.
being chef of the workshop, and cooking for 50 people was a challenge because I'm an engineer. I never, but yeah, definitely brotherhood and having friends, support is one of the most important elements, I would say. I think I would not been able to heal like alone in my house and
Agreed.
doing exercises. It is hard to do that. I don't know if it's possible, but in my case, not. I don't think so.
I've watched it enrich your life so much. And now that you were in the team at this latest workshop, being of service from here, it's incredibly healing. Like purpose and service for men is very life affirming, huh?
Yes,
All of us, really. It's a human need for growth.
yes, yes. Because I was seeing other men go through things I've been through, and being part of that was
Yes.
very fulfilling, very satisfactory, and very heartwarming.
Indeed, I see it. You can see it in your face, Alfonso. And I hope you continue because you have tremendous gifts to share with other men. Is that something that calls you?
Yes, certainly. I guess my healing journey didn't end like in being a coach at Bali and and in Hawaii. And I wish I would have done that, but like life circumstances are not always possible.
Yes.
So one of the hardest parts for me for healing was my work and having to support my family and
Yes.
like with work, like the same work that I went through. Or I was working when everything started and was so stressed about it, and then having to have the same work and changing the way I see this work and how I relate to it, and everything has been challenging.
Yes.
But I am having some baby steps towards moving in other directions,
Mhm.
and I would definitely try to do something that's in some type of help or service for, for the community in some way. I still don't have like a precise idea, but I'm starting to get curious and have some baby steps towards that direction. Yeah.
All we need, curiosity, baby steps, openness. It'll come, Alfonso. I'm glad that you're looking at it.
Thank you.
What would you say to someone else with chronic illness and the things that you've been through, stress-based illness, considering this kind of mind-body work? What would you say to them?
I I say that one important part of this is believing,
Yes.
because if you don't believe, even if you have doubts, that's normal. But there's a time when like everything hits you and you're in the floor and you're in your worst place. And if you don't really believe in the methods or in what you're doing and yourself, and if you're not aware of the changes that are happening
Yes.
process, which is hard to keep track of these positive changes because you're in an alert of in a state of alert, and yes, belief is an important part, and I'd say this is very it's a work that's worth it. As I mentioned, it is very fulfilling, life change, and I'd say that everyone in some degree should or could do it in
Yes.
less or more intensity, but I'd say that this should be like for everyone. This is for everyone, not for certain people with
Agreed.
illness. This is like a life practice, very valuable for every human being that most likely didn't have their needs met or their parents weren't, and they didn't have the tools, they didn't have their needs met, or they didn't have. It's like a change, like comes like a long way. I am very proud. I was telling Paulo the other day, I am very proud because this is something new. This is something scary. This
Yes.
is but at the same time, very empowering, life changing. And this is something that we're doing at the beginning of like the human beings. This is
Yes.
like something they like. There's a saying in Spanish, like it translates like tree that is born crooked,
Yes.
it never stand up tall.
Yes.
And then this is a saying that many generations have told themselves, like you cannot change yourself. You
Yeah,
cannot.
it's a story.
Is wow, you really can. It is not easy because you need to reframe your inner architecture and change many aspects of your life, but it is possible and it is very fulfilling.
Thank you, Alfonso. It is life-changing to be a cycle breaker. And yeah, that doesn't come with blame. It's just what has come before us societally, familiarly, in lots of ways. To be a cycle breaker as you bring in a new life into this world. It's the work of our time. It's tremendously powerful, and your daughter will really benefit from it. How does that feel to know that you are in touch with your feelings and needs, so you will be able to be in touch with hers?
It feels at sometimes there's like at this point I would like to say that I know I will be a very good father, or even not perfect but sufficiently good father. The book you recommended says you need to be sufficiently is the word I'd say. I
It
think
is. It is.
I know I will, but also there's part of me that is conscious about all of these things that can bring trauma or bigger responsibility as well. So trying not to have that burden, I'd say it's like the challenge, like the weight of that burden or the weight of that responsibility, and enjoying paternity is going to be my practice, I think.
Thank you. I love that.
Because I know what everything. I don't know if I made myself clear.
No, I think you did. The holding the awareness of what can come down and what we can impart generationally versus like the joy of being a dad and the opportunity to do this, the dance between the two. I think that's parenthood, Alfonso, for everybody.
Yes.
Alfonso, if you could go back after this hero's journey to the Alfonso that first got sick and was panicked and really scared, what would you want that version of yourself to know about themselves and their future?
Well, it's a interesting question. I definitely keep going. This is gonna take time.
Yes.
This is not gonna be fast, but it is worth it, and you're gonna be fine, and everything is gonna be okay.
Thank you. I love this. It takes time. Don't give up. Keep going, and you'll be okay. You'll be all right. Things are going to work out. Yeah. Thank you, Alfonso. It's really lovely to go back and be able to sincerely give that message to that very scared version of us who didn't know if they would be okay.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Any final thoughts or reflections, Alfonso, for anybody still on this path or even just starting to consider mind-body work? Or just any thoughts and reflections from you?
I think that sometimes when, as you say, shit hits the fan, you need to be tough and you need to get really comfortable being uncomfortable. This is inevitable, and for me it was many times during the process. It is not a linear process, and there's whenever you set a big boundary, everything starts to move around you and inside you, and your world starts to shake, and you need to get tough and also get help from other people, get support.
Yes.
That is very essential, elemental.
Good. Thank you. It's the right kind of toughness. It's not harshness. It's, like distress tolerance and the ability to grow the capacity to stay with what's happening and that change and the discomfort. That grows confidence and agency and the absolute need for support. Like we're not supposed to do this alone.
Yes, not alone. And also stop researching, stop reading, stop trying to find answers, and the answers will come. The answers will come within you, with practice, with you, with Nadia, and the tools she shares with us, and it's very easy to overwhelm and to get trapped in a new symptom or in a new sickness or in a new identity, or it's very easy. So just trust the process. This is, I think, very important.
Thank you, Alfonso. Really, really good final message. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been such a joy to hear your recovery, and it's been an honor to work with you on it.
Thank you, Nadia. Thank you for everything. I am very truly grateful for all what you do to help us. And this is, I can't imagine what you can feel when somebody says this is been life changing, but it has for me. Honestly.
I'm really glad. Thank you, my love. That means a lot.
Thank you.